Pour me another drink. Cause I don't wanna feel a thing no more, hell no. I just wanna sip it till the pain wears off.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight to our first Community Shire meeting for 2026. My name is Jamie Bone, Business Manager with the Shire of Carnarvon, and I will be moderating for you this evening. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge everyone who has taken the time to attend our community meetings like this, which are an important opportunity for us to provide updates, but more importantly, to hear directly from you, our community. Tonight, I'll be taking you through a number of key areas relating to the Shire's activities, including planning, infrastructure, major projects, tourism, and other initiatives that are currently underway here at the Shire. The intent of this evening is to provide a clear and transparent overview of what is happening, where things are heading, and how the Shire is working to support our community. Before we move into the presentations, I would just like to take a moment to introduce our executive team who we have up here this evening. So on my left, your right at the far end, we have Stephanie Lecker, our Executive Manager, Community, Lifestyle and Community. We have Stefan Lau, our Executive Manager, Community Planning and Sustainability. Colm Stanley, our Executive Manager of Infrastructure, and Amanda Layton, our Executive Manager of Corporate Strategy and Performance. Each of our executive team will be taking you through their respective areas shortly, where we will move through a series of presentations this evening, and there will be an opportunity for questions at the end. What I'll do now is I'll hand over to the team to take you through some of our work in more detail, including across the Shire between here and Coral Bay. Firstly, I'll hand over to Stefan, our Executive Manager, Community Planning and Sustainability, who will speak to planning and environmental matters.
Thank you, Jamie. Good evening, everyone. Hope I don't stuff this up with this clicker. Righto. It's not working. Can anyone hear me? Yeah. Let's go. Righto. That's my slide. So I've got a couple of updates, just quick updates that I want to give you this evening. So the first one up is the Coral Bay precinct structure plan. So work is currently underway preparing a precinct structure plan for Coral Bay. That will replace the existing Coral Bay settlement structure plan that's currently, well, it's expiring in 2028. So the precinct structure plan, for those who don't know, is a detailed land use planning document that really guides how development should occur in a specific area, such as Coral Bay. It's a very tight-knit community and a precinct on its own. So the precinct structure plan, the main aim is really to guide future development of such areas. And it sits between the high-level strategic planning and your everyday development approvals and subdivisions. So for Coral Bay, a precinct structure plan will basically focus on tourism development areas, redevelopment of tourism areas, road access and parking, subdivision layouts, land use, land zones, and then public spaces and coastal protection, as well as infrastructure upgrades. This plan will ensure Coral Bay, or development in Coral Bay, occurs in an organised and sustainable way, rather than through piecemeal approvals. In essence, it translates strategic planning into a more practical on-the-ground layout that guides future development. For Coral Bay, this is particularly important given its location, that future growth is orderly, environmentally responsible, and takes into account infrastructure capacity and coastal hazard planning. Further engagement about this project will occur. This is only in its very early stages at the moment. I think we are planning to do some initial community engagement in May, so just please keep an eye out for that. Next one is the Coral Bay, staying in Coral Bay Ranger Service. So I'm pleased to announce that we have secured a full-time ranger for Coral Bay during the peak season, starting from the 1st of April to the 31st of October. This will provide a consistent on-the-ground presence in Coral Bay, assisting with compliance, just visitor management and community safety. During the off-peak periods, we will still support Coral Bay and with regular monthly visits. And additional to that, we can also attend as and when required. This will ensure that we provide a continuing service for Coral Bay. Next one. Local planning strategy. There's another big project that we are currently working on, started in 2024, and we've just prepared the draft local planning strategy. Now, local planning strategy is a high-level strategic planning document that's required by the Western Australian Planning Commission, and it looks at the long-term vision for the whole Shire. It looks at where growth should occur, housing, industry, tourism, infrastructure, how that will be supported into the future. It looks at it talks about environmental constraints and considerations. And also forms the basis for our local planning scheme and any future amendments to the local planning scheme. In simple terms, the local planning strategy answers the question, what should the Shire look like in 10 to 15 years and how do we get there responsibly? The draft local planning strategy is currently available for public comment. Advertising has started. The closing date is on the 15th of April. There's hard copies available at the Shire office and at the library. And there will also be a community meeting or a community, like an online information session held on the 1st of April, where you'll get a presentation from the consultants working with us on that project. The details are all on our website. I think you can go to the consultation, just type in consultation in the web browser, in the search function, and that will come up. So we encourage everyone to have a look at that. Have a read through the strategy. It's a long document, unfortunately, but have a read through that. That's your only chance to really get involved and help shape the future for the Shire of Carnarvon. And I think that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Stefan. Now, does everybody in the audience, it's a nice and cozy crowd, a ticket? We're going to do a raffle. We have some prizes to give away. Yep. Who has ticket number 17? I see a fist in the air. Go again, Justin. Number 18. Feel like I'm at bingo. 18. Do we have 18 anywhere? Beautiful. Thank you, Jana. Now I'll just hand over to, I believe we have our Executive Manager Infrastructure, Colm Stanley, who is going to walk you all through some infrastructure initiatives and major projects here at the Shire.
Thank you, Jamie. It's lovely to be here and have the opportunity to speak to you about infrastructure. It's something that gets me very excited, and I hope I can rub some of that off on you tonight. I wanted to talk about a couple of items. Not the raffle draw, try this way. Okay, so tonight I'm going to talk about the airport upgrade and where we're at with that, some capital works that we've delivered to date, and also what we've got scheduled for the end of the year. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the work that the team does behind the scenes, and I'm going to use TC Mitchell as a response. I'm just talking about the infrastructure team that you might not know, some of the stuff that happens in the background. But I also thought it was important to share with you some of the economic benefits that through infrastructure and what we do and how that fits with the local community and how it supports the local community. All right, just to give you a bit of a little bit of a sense of what's happening with the airport. We engage with a company called AMS to do the design for the airport. Now, that's a pretty complex process, obviously, for an airport. There's a huge amount of requirements and CASA standards that need to be met. So we've engaged with them and they've been working through that process for about the last 4 months. In addition to that, we have to have what's called a technical advisor who we've engaged with in the last week to be able to provide technical advice on the actual design and ensure that what we've committed to with the Department of Infrastructure, that it is correct and accurate before we can take, move on to the next stage. But I think it's important for you to share with you that when we first went into this, a couple of years ago, the original costing. Now, by the way, the original costing was just a very simple, rough estimate of how much it was, and it was intended that it would be about $8 million. Subsequently, the first costing that we've done, which is called a P50 costing, it's actually about $14 million. So there's a difference between what was originally sourced from Treasury to what we actually need. So what the team have done in collaboration with the Department of Infrastructure or Major Infrastructure, we've been working with them to put a package together for Treasury to say, hey, listen, we actually need $14 million. And to be able to do that accurately, we need to get this P90 costing, which is really demonstrates the accuracy of the costing, and it needs to be within a 10% variant of what you could actually expect to pay. So we've been doing that work, and that's actually due to go to Treasury in late May, and we'll get funding confirmation by the end of this financial year to confirm for us to be able to go ahead and do that significant project. It's going to make a massive difference to what we've got. We're currently require the runway to be redone, and I would expect, subject to approval with the funding, that we'll be able to deliver that program next year, which is pretty exciting. It's a pretty technically challenging piece of work, and we've got Shandon Saar, who works for us, who's a really competent engineer that's working on that piece of work, and also in a lot of collaboration and a lot of direct meetings with the designers and also the Department of Infrastructure. Sorry, the DOT infrastructure section. Capital Works, well, I'm happy to say that the Capital Works this year, we did a couple of roads. We get about $1.6 million to be able to work on our roads. Now, obviously, we've got a massive network of over 1,400 kilometres of roads, and part of that is we get $1.6 million. We've identified out of all of those roads, there's only about 7 of them that are significant roads. This year, we did Quabbanalu Road. We did a section of resheeting and reinstatement work. And for the Warringah Pimby Road, I always struggle with pronouncing that correctly, but anyhow. So both of those pieces of work have been completed, which is great. And it's obviously we need to continue to do those works. And, we only have a limited amount of funding for, the network's worth about $400 million, and we get a relatively small amount, but we do a lot of good work with the money that we have. In addition to that, we've got our grading program going. We regrade the whole network every year, and currently we've done about 70% of that work. So in the last quarter of this financial year, we'll finish that piece of work, which will be fabulous. But we have 2 other pretty important pieces of work that are only going to be starting over the next month, and that is the Speedway black spot funding program work, and also the grid replacement for Minilia Linden Road. Now, those 2 pieces of work are funded directly from what's called black spot funding, and they are funding that's available to us for areas where there is a significant risk to the community and or road users, that we can apply for funding to be able to do that work. And we've been successful with that funding, and we'll deliver it in the coming months. Team responsiveness. I thought it was important, really, just to give you a bit of a sense of some of the stuff that happens in the background, particularly with the infrastructure team. We've got both Dean and Kieran and their teams that do a fabulous amount of work that people just wouldn't know what happens in the background. So they quickly pivot to whatever the need is in the community. As something is developing, I guess, if the community is at risk, there's a series of activities that they'll be doing to ensure that we're prepared. All of the equipment is, ready to go. It's, if you went out there to the depot, you'd be able to see all of our equipment. It's packed, ready. Simo, who's here tonight, has done a huge amount of work ensuring that all of our equipment's ready to go to ensure that we can respond accordingly and make sure that people are safe. But on top of that, after post any event, that's the team that goes out and looks after all of our assets and checks that they're safe for either the community to go back into or our own staff. In addition to that, they do detailed damage assessments across the whole network. Now, it's a huge area. If you consider the roads alone, it's a lot of work, but we have a lot of people to be able to help us do that. And then there's the obvious thing of making sure that the town's tidied up after obviously a cyclone comes through. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad, but it was 75 tonnes of work and it took 3 weeks, and all of that team was diverted to doing that and helping the community, whether that be spending more time having the tip open to encourage the community members to use that. They're all important things, but I just wanted to convey to you that it's a dedicated team and they're capable and they just do that business seamlessly without fuss. And to me, that's pretty cool and pretty important that that message is conveyed to you. I just want to touch on economic benefit because I think it's important. It's a little bit of an interesting one here. So you'll be able to see on the screen there that these are the companies the local companies that we've used. And I'm just talking about this year, and forgive me, there might be some that I've missed, but this is just infrastructure alone. So we've purchased from Toyota. We use WC Mechanical and Civil, Gascoigne Plumbing Services, Good Work Holdings, Carnarvon Electrics, Track Building Services, Clean Heat, make sure everything's nice and clean around the place, Northwest Project Solutions to do some construction work, Coral Bay Contracting, who ensure that the tip's done, the rubbish is collected and cleaning is done at Coral Bay, Northwest Refrigeration Services, to make sure that all of the air conditioners are clean and operational and safe for everyone in the buildings that they're in and operating. New Heights Tree Services and Tremor Civil. And I guess why is that important? I guess what I wanted to convey tonight is that when you consider that the community contributes about $7 million in rates, the team work across the board. We do about $22 million worth of services for maintenance and infrastructure. It represents a significant reinvestment back into the town. So importantly, the investment is not leaving the region. So far this year, $7 million has been spent with local businesses like the ones I've mentioned, and we're still got another quarter of the year to go. It recirculates directly within the Carnarvon community, which is so important. And the impact of that is just, really staggering. And I think it's fantastic. So in short, infrastructure investment is about more than physical assets. It's about supporting local jobs, strengthening the economy and building a resilient and sustainable future for Carnarvon. So that's the bit that I want to share with you tonight. And that's why I find infrastructure a pretty exciting space to be in.
Thank you very much, Colm. I'll just hand over to Amanda Layton, our Executive Manager, Corporate Strategy and Performance.
So you may not know, but at the last meeting that we had for the community, at the last community meeting, I spoke about some of the successes we had with our RGED grant application. So that saw the Shire receive $3 million over 3 years, and that's all in wages for new employees at the Shire of Carnarvon. This time I wanted to talk to you about the LG Professionals Career Campaign. So the Local Government Careers Campaign, the Shire of Carnarvon has joined as a partner with LG Professionals. So that is a local government organisation for all local governments in Western Australia. It's a sector-wide initiative that promotes careers in local government and showcases the diverse opportunities across WA. Through this partnership, we're actually pleased to be able to highlight some of our people who were chosen to participate and actually be in the campaign. So as part of this, you'll see that our people that were featured on the billboards across key locations. So Ashley Nenke, you can see his picture up there. That's on billboards on the Great Eastern Highway in Belmont on Ascot. There's one in Beaufort Street in Highgate, and Janali Randall is also at the Bassendean train station. So it's got strong commuter visibility who can see those things. So we're actually really, really proud to be able to say that those are our people up in lights essentially in Perth. So over the next few slides, I just wanted to show you some of the short clips from our campaigns. So this is Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a Dreamwinder.
So a bit of technical error, that's great. So Ashley's story is of initiative and internal career development. So he joined the Shire in 2022 as a general service officer, but he identified a real passion to play with oil. And he wanted to become a mechanic. So having those conversations with his supervisor and his manager, he was able to be offered an adult mechanical apprenticeship, which actually filled a skill gap that we had. So over the past few years, you may have seen that we've advertised for mechanics. We haven't been successful. That's partly due to the fact that we're a local government. Our remuneration is constrained by our remuneration bands when can't be as competitive with remuneration as like the mining industry that surrounds us or with the private sector. But what we can offer is the lifestyle, which is what Ashley saw as a great benefit for him. So I'll just let you play the next one.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a Dreamwinder to play with engines, and big step, but I know it's going to work out for the best as I don't feel like I'm at work anymore. I feel like I'm doing something I like. So I'm employed as a heavy-duty diesel mechanic. So I look after the technology, engine servicing, hydraulics, goes on. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a Dreamwinder to play with engines, and big step, but I know it's going to work out for the best as
That's right. We'll just leave it there and we'll just go on to the next one. Our next employee that features in the program is Helen Tipton. So she's a born and bred local, and her journey highlights her career progression and the opportunities that you can have working in local government. So she commenced as a tourism information trainee in 2022. She then progressed to the communities team as a project officer, developing programs for our community and our youth.
My name's Helen and I'm the Community Development Team Lead here at the Shire of Carnarvon, and I've been here nearly 4 years. My role as a Community Development Team Lead is quite diverse. I work behind the scenes coordinating programs and events for the community, working with local stakeholders to deliver meaningful events. I also help with street activation, helping our local businesses and community members activating our main street, making it more vibrant and brighter for the community.
Just leave it, Justin. We might just post them later. So Helen is a great example of how we've actually grown and developed Helen, working from being a trainee with tourism and then moving up to that community development team lead and actually having deliverables and outcomes for our community and youth. Our next slide is a little bit different. So it's not a local, it's a story about Lockie Dunn. So Lockie is a really strong example of attracting talent to fill a gap. So he joined us as a senior aerodrome reporting officer back in February 2025. Prior to that, we actually had to engage him through a contract employee provider arrangement to fill a skill gap, because running an airport is a very governance compliance driven space and you have to have certain qualifications and certifications. It's also not a very glamorous or high paying job in some regions. So we're very lucky to be able to have Lockie join our team as a contractor at that time. He actually fell in love with our town. So he has fallen in love with the lifestyle, the community and everything that Carnarvon has to offer. He's also purchased his own home in Carnarvon as well, which is another person And we all know the story is that people travelling around Australia, they stop into Carnarvon, they visit, they fall in love with the place, and they end up staying for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And whilst they're still not locals, we'll claim them as locals. So I'm not sure if Lockie's one will play.
My name's Lockie. I've been with the Shire for 10 months and I'm the Senior Aerodrome Reporting Officer here. A typical day is basically overseeing all safety and compliance of the airport, doing runway inspections and apron inspections and lighting, talking to air traffic, monitoring radios. And I used to work near the Perth airport doing like landscaping, and I always just saw the aircraft and I took an interest in it, and that's how I slowly moved into aviation. I think I'm just proud in general to be doing what I'm doing because I always had an interest in it. So to be where I am very happy. I love coming to work and I enjoy my job. So, yeah.
Okay, so as part of the careers in local government, it's not only highlighting Carnarvon as a great place to work, we get to piggyback off the back of that and actually advertise that as a place to come and live, a place to visit. We've got lots of media, videos, pictures from our partnership with the local government professionals. The other great thing is that our images are also being used at statewide conferences. So we've got images from the conference last week for the CEO's Connection, which means all the CEOs were there. They've got pictures of Carnarvon up there on their slides, which is another fantastic thing that we can share. And I suppose at the end of the day, they're more than just roles. They're actually real people building careers and contributing to our community and choosing Carnarvon as their home. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Amanda. And if there's one thing that's going to let us down in life, it's going to be technology. But please do take an opportunity if you can witness those videos and think, really what we said then. If I just take a moment, really proud of one of those staff in particular. I mean, proud of all of them, but Lockie, who I've had quite a lot to do with, he's a 23-year-old young man who's moved to Carnarvon without the intention of staying. And he has absolutely fallen in love with the place, as many of us have. So there can be white noise out there sometimes, but I think Lockie's just a true testament of what this town has to offer and how great we all think it is. Thank you again, Amanda. I'll just hand over now to Steph Lecker, our Executive Manager, Lifestyle and Community, to talk us through all things tourism.
Jamie, hopefully the technology works a bit better for me because I do, we have a raffle draw, but we'll do that at the end. I have a few videos to share as well, but I want to run through some key marketing initiatives. At the last community meeting, I did talk through a lot of some of the key marketing that we have done for tourism. It's probably the stuff in my department that's the less visible because obviously we're not targeting our local community. We're trying to attract people here. So often you might not see it on social media, even though we are trying very hard to share these stories across the platform. So some of our key initiatives just over the weekend is attending the Perth Caravan and Camping Show. So we had two stands, one with Australia's Coral Coast and one with the Shire of Upper Gascoyne, and we split the stands. We trialled this last year and it was a great success for us. Sometimes we get lost in the noise of the Australia's Coral Coast stand because there's a lot of competitive destinations. So we chose to break out as well with Shire of Upper Gascoyne to have a stronger presence for Carnarvon and Coral Bay. We've also just recently completed a GWN 7 destination campaign, Feel Right at Home. So we recently did some filming in Carnarvon, so you will see some local faces. This is going to be split on south and north across the year, targeting people to travel to Carnarvon for older demographics. I'm just going to, hopefully this is going to work. One of the other campaigns that we've just finished is with Have a Go News. This one is about talking about why Carnarvon is a great winter destination. So we've had regular full page articles in the newspaper. There's about 80,000 prints that go across the state It's a very popular magazine, and this is actually sort of goes through all the key things about what's great about Carnarvon and why Carnarvon's a great winter destination. I guess one of the big things that's happening in a couple of months for Carnarvon is hosting the WA Tourism Conference. So this is the first time it's ever been held in Carnarvon and the first time in the Gascoyne. So it's something to be very proud of for Carnarvon. So we have got a working group that has been working with the Shire of Carnarvon to deliver some of the key initiatives and to pull the program together. So some familiar faces on there. So very much split across local businesses, some local just community members interested in driving tourism for Carnarvon, and also some state agencies as well. So in November, we held a workshop with the community and the working group and asked them what our key priorities were so that we had a foundation to be able to develop our program, but then also to be able to report and go, was this event a success for Carnarvon? So we asked the group quite a lot of questions, and it was, I know there's a few of you here that participated in it, but one of the things we asked the community group is what we wanted people to go away and feel proud of and what we wanted the community feel proud of. And so some of the biggest messages that came out of that workshop is that they wanted the locals to feel proud, involved and recognised. And they recognised that this was a chance for us to tell positive stories about Carnarvon, showcase our culture, people and our lifestyle, and that it's not just for visitors, but this is for our community too. What also came out of the working group was that they wanted us to focus on making sure local groups, youth, artists and cultural organisations could participate, and that the whole community could be part of the entire program. We wanted to know from the community group what they wanted us to focus on as some of the key unique features to showcase. And obviously there's many, but some of the key things that came out was obviously our food and our produce and some of our highlight events like long table style experiences that iconically are known for Carnarvon, some of our culture, our storytelling and our Aboriginal experiences. We wanted to showcase our local music, performers and our markets, and we wanted to activate places like the Fasine, the Heritage Precinct, Space Museum, Gulmartimire and our coastline. And we also asked the group what they wanted the first impression to be for our visitors. And so everyone said, you know, we want everyone to feel welcome, safe and relaxed and to have a genuine wow experience. They also highlighted some simple things matter, so friendly faces, open businesses and a vibrant town feel. We also wanted to make sure that there was local spend in our local businesses and then it brought visitors and exposure for Carnarvon. But we also wanted this as an opportunity to focus on deals, packages and develop new tourism experiences for the region so that there were long-term benefits.
When we found out about the Carnarvon Tourism Awards, we were pretty excited because we do have a lot to offer.
I hope people discover just how great our community is, what we have on offer here, like with the beach being so close.
I think the conference will bring to Carnarvon a set of fresh eyes who will see it and really experience it and just be able to take that experience back.
I think it's fantastic for the town. I think it's going to bring a lot of people. I can't wait to showcase Carnarvon. We're only a day's drive from Perth, so it's a quick trip really. We have the perfect weather, 27 degrees average all year round. What a great holiday for families to enjoy and to showcase what we actually do here.
So while the conference is in town, we're hoping to be able to help the Shire along with some welcome packs, activities to do, fishing related, just go from there.
We are open for any sort of opportunities to working with other business and communities to make it.
Oh, our internet is not great in here. We're in a finished. It is a bit of a longer video. I think it's just the slide time, unfortunately. But we sort of wanted to capture sort of the local voices behind the conference working group to just highlight that it's not just the Shire driving this project. It is very much driven by our local businesses and our community. And we couldn't be more grateful for the support because they've been working very hard in the background on lots and many initiatives. One of the key things that came out of the working group was to make sure that we had a strong presence for Carnarvon for the conference. Quite often what happens when it goes regional every second year is that it is lost in a Tourism Council corporate website. So the team worked really hard to get sponsorship from Market Creations and developed a standalone website. So if you actually have your phone and you'd like to see it on your mobile, you can actually scan that QR code and hopefully it works. And it will take you through the website. We are updating it regularly with bits and pieces. I see some phones out, so I will wait until So to run through the program for the conference just at a very high level, so a lot of delegates will arrive either the Sunday or the Monday into Carnarvon, with a lot of people extending their stay. Lots of people are coming Friday, Saturday, and others are leaving or staying longer to experience Carnarvon and surrounds. So the first day is very much split with the audience. So the first day is a full day conference day for visitor centres because it's a very driven market. Majority of delegates come from that industry. Then there's an opportunity for businesses to do workshops, and then there's an opportunity for people to do Explore Carnarvon. So this is just some of the key experiences that are available for delegates to select. Probably an important one to highlight, the industry showcase tour. That was very much the working groups suggesting that, it's important that while we have some key high delegates here from Tourism Australia, Western Australia, we've got people from Nexus, Perth Airport, Waytok CEOs, lots of big people in great organisations. We wanted to take them on a tour of Carnarvon, showcase the project, some of the big developments, but I guess to also highlight some of our opportunities that presents in Carnarvon. So we've got 30 seats and we're almost fully booked for that one, which is great. The networking function for that evening is going to be at Quobba Station. So we wanted to be able, because the program is so jam-packed, everyone wanted to be able to showcase that we have an incredible coastline. So Quobba Station is going to be putting on a pretty incredible show, and that one is sponsored by the Gascoyne Development Commission. On day 2, there'll be a full day program with Minister talks in here, and we'll also be hearing from Tourism Australia, Western Australia, and there'll be lots of discussions on regional tourism trends and also aviation. And then the conference dinner and awards will be held up at the Space Museum. We are keeping this as a secret location, so to delegates, because a lot of them have said, "Oh, please tell us we're going to a plantation." So we're switching it up a little bit. They're going to get a bit of plantation vibes, but in a different location. And we're also nominated Carnarvon and Coral Bay for top tourism, small tourism town and tidy tourism town as well. So hopefully, as well as hosting, we'll take away some awards. The third day of the conference is half-day conference. So there'll be Aboriginal tourism and partnerships. There'll be a lot of discussions around ecotourism and some keynote speakers. And then we're going to take the delegates on a bit of an adventure. So we're actually going to split all the delegates into different buses. They're not going to know where they're going, but they're all going to go to a different experience across Carnarvon. So the working group have come up with some suggestions of where people should go, and the idea is that all the delegates will go somewhere different and then meet all at the Heritage Precinct for the Jetty to the Stars event with the Perth Symphony Orchestra, and then hopefully create an opportunity for delegates to sort of talk amongst themselves and say, where have you gone, what have you experienced? And if that wasn't a jam-packed program, that is pretty much what the conference will deliver. So there's lots of obviously key elements that I haven't shown today, but we will start sharing bits and pieces on our Facebook as well. We have had 55 delegates as of yesterday register in a week, and that doesn't include some of our Tourism Australia, Tourism West Australian, Tourism Council delegates as well. But one of the things that our working group also told us is let's have a really big party before the conference and have a big event. So we've managed to secure just over $400,000 in funding to put on a 3-day festival in Carnarvon prior to the conference, which the community also gets the opportunity to enjoy. So 22nd to 24th of May, we'll be holding the Nully Festival. And so for some of you who might know, Nully was the original native title claim for the region and means all of us, two of us. This is very much a strong partnership with Bayangu and Ingada Aboriginal Corporation, and it was very much driven by them in terms of seeking the funding and redirecting it to the Shire of Carnarvon to be able to deliver this event. Chevron is the major sponsor of this event, and also Tourism Western Australia and Leichhardt have come on board as well to provide some funding. At a very, very high level, and we will be announcing our program hopefully next week. We've just got a few things to tick off on our before we can formally announce like our acts and performances. But the Friday will mean some live shows and activations at Gulmartimaya. On the Saturday, we'll be closing the street for a Main Street party. And then we'll be going to Gulmartimaya for some live music on their lawn. And then the Sunday is going to be community hub and activation at Gulmartimaya. And of course, a very big closing event, but sort of closing for the festival, but opening for the conference is the music on the Fascine, where we'll also have a drone show and fireworks. Yeah, so that is it from me in terms of update. I'll hand it back to Jamie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steph. And that concludes our formal presentations for this evening. And we'll head shortly into some questions if those of you in the audience have any questions while we have our executive team here. But I'd just like to take a moment and hopefully, you know, it's very hard to condense all the work that our team here do in the PowerPoint presentations. And out there in the community, but it would be remiss of me to acknowledge the amount of work and the decision making that goes in from council all the way through to the teams that support our executive managers up here today. So I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge the great work that the Shire do as a whole, working together. No raffle, we might leave. Is there a raffle, Justin, before I go on? Otherwise, we might move straight into some questions. Oh no, take that back. We'll move into a raffle. Hit it, Justin. 13. Pays to turn up a little bit late. Yeah, go on. A low number this time. 8. Does anybody have 8? Here we go. Just up on the back right, Jana. Thank you. So, like I mentioned at the start, tonight is a great opportunity to speak with our executive team and ask any questions that you might have out there that we may be able to answer. Anything that we won't be able to answer here, we'll make sure that we take on notice and put out through our channels and to you directly. So it is important. I hope you all register through Danny on the way in. But if you raise your hand, one of our lovely team down the front will make our way to you with a microphone.
And that washes back in and gets blown back in by nature. And why we're not looking at trying to convince the engineers to punch it straight out to the west, just so we've got a direct opening rather than it just continually washing in all the time. Besides all the sand washing away from along the front beach out there, because you go down there and the road's just about getting taken away now. Are we looking at those sort of projects and what sort of happened with that thing?
Couple of questions in there, so I'll try and just, if I can ask you to repeat a couple of the items in there for me. I guess in terms of funding, the funding for the jetties are separate funding. So as much as, you know, you could rally an argument to say, hey, wouldn't it be great to put all of the funding into the one area? Unfortunately, we can't do that. That's not in our hands because this whole team works tirelessly to get funding, and funding has very strict requirements for a specific thing that you've applied for. And unfortunately, no, we can't divert funds from one area to another. That's just not possible. So I hope that answers your first question. But your second question, was it actually about the Facine sand in terms of the waterway, or are you talking about Pelican Point?
Yeah, Pelican Point, just that thing, it continually, whatever gets done and whatever's pumped out always ends up getting put back to where it was getting washed away, which makes no sense at all. But, you know, from what I understand, that's dictated by engineers from Perth or varying parties or whatever. But has anybody actually challenged them and said, no, it's not working? We should look at punching an entryway straight out, and at least that way we could have looked at saving the toilet block and everything out there, which is not far off being washed away.
Okay, I'm going to have to take some of that on notice because I don't know all of the answers. I've been here for 10 months, but I'm not fully across all of those areas. But what I can say in relation to dredging, so when you're talking about dredging, there's two separate areas that of the Facine. Part of it is the Shire's responsibility and part of it is the DOT's responsibility. It's when the DOT come in annually I think it's either annually or every 2 years to do their work. So have we, or do we have any ability to influence what they do around their dredging program? No, we don't, unfortunately. I guess that we could do respectfully, perhaps put a letter together and say we have some level of concern. And I would need to understand that a little bit better because I can't really answer that fully, but we certainly can reach out and have a discussion and highlight something. It doesn't mean it's going to necessarily change. We could definitely do that if it makes good sense. Has that answered your question?
Yeah, kind of. We know it's. Personally, I can assume it's pretty much out of your hands. You can ask for things, but it's always dictated by higher powers and what you say, money in the end. This is the same as the tramway bridge. I've had multiple conversations with Burke about that over the years, probably the last 10 or 15 years, about getting that working, what was going, and the questions on why they were pulling the rails up at the time. Fair enough, it's a hazard, but it would have made more sense to try and target that, get the tram running backwards and forwards from town to the jetty, because people would stay in town for that, just to spend a day, go out, have a coffee, whatever, have a feed, walk it. Even if they can't go out the 1 mile anymore, they'd still walk around the mangrove areas, get on the train, come back to town. But it was an issue. There was like 5 different departments involved or something. Like DOT was one of them. DOT, Shire, Fireys. There's varying. Just the fact, like something like that would be awesome for town, but getting it happening is pretty much null and void. There's nothing.
I was just going to say that your question before about the funding, we did have an agenda item go to council last year about trying to seek to reallocate the funding, like try and petition DOT to have the funding from the 1 mile jetty to the tramway bridge. What happened there was we had a significant number of our community show up to a community meeting who were opposed to that motion. So that one actually fell down. So even though they were 2 separate pieces of funding for 2 very different projects, we couldn't actually advocate for that anyway. So I just thought I'd let you know.
But that would have made perfect sense, like to pull your money into one. You don't have enough for either. So thanks for the answers. But yes, I'd take that one down before the wind blows, because the wind loading won't sustain the wind loading. We live just around the corner.
Brilliant. Thank you. Good questions. Was there anybody else here tonight that have any questions?
Hello, I'm not sure who can answer this for us, but just wondering if we can get some sort of indication of the Shire's sort of responsibility with the Facine. There is a vessel out there now that I know you've tried to had removed. It's derelict, and we're just wondering if there's been any progress on that. And also vessels occupying moorings out there that are meant to be sort of a courtesy mooring for a 3-day visit, something like that. So there's a bit of confusion, I suppose, around who's responsible for what. Yeah, can anyone shed some light?
Sorry, can I just confirm, are you asking, is there a clear delineation between the Facine work that's required between the DOT and the Shire? Is that your question?
Yes, I guess I am asking, but I do know that you were working, I think, with DOT to try and remove that particular vessel at some point.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the boats, right. Well, thank you for the question. I do. Okay, I have asked this question, and I guess the boats, my understanding, sorry, DOT have said that if those boats are in areas that effectively is the responsibility of the Shire, then it is our responsibility. I have had a discussion with them, and we've tried to work collaboratively to deal with that, because there are a couple of boats that are a bit problematic, and we'll continue to do that, because I guess in my mind there is a statutory power that the DOT has to be able to remove a boat that I don't believe that the Shire would have. So, but the opportunity for us is to actually work with them to deal with any of those assets that are, that need to be removed.
So I guess I'm wondering then, so there's no plan at this stage to remove that vessel in the near future, given that the tides are favourable in the next coming month or two?
The steel one?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of items in there. Is that, as I understand it, it's the boat is owned, and I from my understanding that the owner has looked at having it recovered, but I don't know where that is, and I guess the Shire would need to go through a process of ensuring that it's fair and equitable, and to be able to do that. So do we have a plan immediately? No, we don't, but it is on my radar, and we'll work through getting it removed at some point.
Thanks, Cole. Any other questions? I did see a hand up just back down here at the front.
With the maintenance that's happening on Main Road where the grass is dug up, I've noticed that quite a lot of car parks are coned off. Is that going to be fixed before Easter holidays, school holidays, access to those car parks opposite the bakery?
Sorry, Shona, could you just, are you talking about the main street where okay, so where there's some work that's been undertaken recently, which is just removing the old rotting wood, and that's been converted into, we're reticulating it and putting grass in there, so it'll be beautiful and green in the coming months.
Yeah, but will the car parks be available over the school holidays? Because they've been putting cones and tags along so that you can't park there. So just there's going to be a lot of tourists, a lot of people in town. So just hoping that's opened up again.
I'll double check with the team. I don't know the exact detail, but I would expect that it would be, but I will double check for you and let you know.
Awesome, thank you. And another question is, with Coral Bay, with all the extra accommodation, is there plans for extra parking to use the main beach there?
So just you're asking for extra parking?
Yeah, to use to access Main Beach.
With the RAC development, they have on behalf of the Shire increased the Robinson Street car parking at the end there. I think there's an additional 20 or 30 car parks, so there is more car parking spaces.
Is there plans for any more? Because even just on a day that's not holidays, it's quite busy there.
Yeah, no plans for any more car parking. Car parking will be addressed in the precinct structure plan, as well as long vehicle parking base for day visitors. So that's definitely a a problem in Coral Bay. So that's a big topic to be addressed in the precinct structure plan.
And I also believe it's one of the priorities in the local planning scheme that's out for consultation at the moment for Coral Bay as well. Any other questions for the team? No more questions. What I might do is I'll just hand over to our Shire President, who will say a few words before we close. And then I'll come back to the mic and invite you all out to mingle with us after the event. So what I'll do is I'll just hand you over to our Shire President, Eddie Smith, to say a few words.
Righto, very few words, people. First up, though, to the team. Fantastic job, guys. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. To the community members here tonight, thank you so much for coming. It's really great that you're making the effort to get here, listen to us and ask some questions. That's what it's about. I'd like to hear more questions because I think getting the direct answer from the guys here, they're more than happy to answer any questions, is great. So other than thank you very much, team. You've really done us proud. And thank you to the community.
You beat me to it. Thank you very much. Look, thank you very much. If I can reiterate what our president said, it's an absolutely pleasure, the community coming out tonight. We do encourage lots of questions. What a great opportunity. I know all of us, you see us at the shops, we live here, we love the place. But, you know, tonight is a good opportunity to ask those questions where everybody gets to hear it. We are being streamed live. I'm not sure if I can see how many people are online. 19. So, you know, it is a good opportunity. 19? Yeah, I can't count. Well, that would have been great. But yeah, again, just a really good opportunity to get those questions out where we can all hear. There is a little bit of some food and drinks outside. Please, I encourage you to hang around, mingle with us, ask questions if they were still on your minds that you didn't want to bring up as a group. We'd be more than happy to answer those and or get back to you. And just once again, I'd really like to thank our executive team, our council members who are here tonight, the broader team, but most importantly, the community. We really appreciate it. So thank you very much and have a good night. So,